What's up, Blueprint family? How y'all doing out there? Thank you all for joining us. So today we have a very important topic, I think. It's talking about the 7 forms of struggle, love, and how to avoid them. So let's get started.
Yep, 7 forms of struggle love and how to avoid them because that is so important.
Yes, it
And
is.
really, too, I think a lot of people get into a struggle type love when you go into a relationship unhealed or unprepared.
Right, and unprepared meaning multiple things. So, we're going to talk about
A lot of
a lot of
them.
them, the bullet points of those, and then the whole ideal here is to we're trying to get you all to understand that if you get into a homogamous relationship, so we talked about that last week, the homogamous relationship, what do you call it?
Homogamy,
Hypergamy,
hypergamy. Yeah.
those type of relationships. So homogamous relationships, pretty much you're marrying your equal.
Mhm.
So what you're going to see by doing so, especially the young 20 some couples, the fresh out of high school couples, these type of things that you're going to run into as far as relationships that nobody tell you about. Your parents probably never told you about. Your grandparents probably never told you about because we live in a whole different time. I know a lot of statistics out there talk about, oh, men are not marrying young anymore, and young men are not um, interested in marriage, or young women are not interested in marriage no more. And then we showed you all Friday, or was it Thursday, that
Mhm.
the statistics show that the average age for both men and women to marry in the United States is 30 years of age.
Right now. Yeah.
And then back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, it used to be the age of 22, 23. So what happened? You got to understand, you have to, uh, what happened was the economy happened, inflation happened.
Life.
Jobs are paying you the same wages that are pretty much the same since the 90s.
Hmm.
I remember when people were making 55, $65,000 and they said that's good money.
Yeah.
That's real good money. He's got a good job.
Mhm.
And then I remember being a young man and I was making that much money in my early 20s and I was like, this ain't it. This ain't it. What is this? 65, $55,000. That's nothing. No disrespect, but the whole idea is that you need a two-person income household
To keep up with inflation.
to
Yeah.
keep up with inflation plus more. So I understand that may not be your fault. Being in a homogamous relationship that two people are struggling to pay the bills.
Yeah, and that because that is the first one.
Hmm.
You just said it, the financial struggle.
Right,
That is the very first type of struggle love that young couples get into and we commonly see.
right. So you got to understand this. It takes a lot of patience being in these type of relationships because you both have to understand, man and woman, that you're not going to have it all. Um,
Right off back now.
right. I'm an advocate for delayed gratification, making sure that you wait it out until you're fully prepared for marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot of benefit that comes with that, but
Yeah.
we can talk about the financial struggle of situation
Well, yeah, because
first.
that is basically the solution to fixing all of that. And to sum it up beautifully is simply what you said, being prepared. That's it. You
Right.
really have to be now more than ever because with the financial struggle love being the love that people often go into when they're in a homogamous relationship and they want to marry their equal, and they, for example, women, you get with the man who can't provide right away because he's your age. He's coming straight out of high school, straight out of college, just like you. How in the world is he supposed to provide your whole living and his whole living right off bat? Now, granted, the fact some people do take that on, which is fine, and it works out. We were kind of a slight example from that too, because we weren't fresh out of high school, but fresh out of college. Like so. It's a little.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, let's look at that. College man and woman. You come as fresh out of college, you both got debt.
Yeah.
Depending on what generation you're in, your debt is different.
Mm,
I'm a millennial. My wife is a millennial. So, we have debt that's under $100,000 or
mhm,
had debt that's under $100,000. And coming out of college, you have to pay those immediately
mhm,
once you get out, and then you have to find a job. More than likely, you
mhm,
have an entry level position making anywhere between 45 to $55,000. If you're lucky, you're making 60 to 65,000. If you're
mhm,
really lucky, then you're making 70,
mhm.
which is very rare in today's time. Coming
Starting off,
starting
right.
off straight out of college with no experience. Let's be honest. Now in these times, experience is what's paying people. It's not college degrees. It's not.
Mm-mm.
Your employer could care less. Of course, it's a prerequisite to getting the job, but more so it's the experience. And that's the reason why you're more valuable as you age, especially men. You're more valuable as you age.
Yeah, and
Um,
it helps prevent the struggle love, the financial struggle love, the first love that we're talking about. Because if you're prepared, like you're saying, then you don't have to deal with that financial struggle love.
right. So you're coming out of college, you got those debts to pay, then you paying some sort of rent or mortgage if you're lucky enough to own a home. Now, in these times, it's actually harder. You have to build your credit up.
Hmm.
Um, and then you have a car note, you or your wife and your wife, either
Hmm.
or. So you have all these bills that you have to pay. Now, if you have children, that's even more of a burden there financially. Bless you.
Yeah.
Of a burden financially
Hmm.
for you all to lift. You
Yeah,
know,
especially fresh out of college.
Yep,
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Then, not to mention the increasing cost of food prices. Now, I don't want to complain about prices or inflation or whatever the case may be, but the whole point of that is to tell you all that you're going to struggle financially, and it's going to cause stress, undue stress, because you're trying to
Married too soon.
marry too soon. Let alone if you bought a home or renting furniture, you still need furniture to put in your home. So you're going to use credit to put that in there. So you have all these credit bills on top of student loan payments, on top of mortgage rent. And then if you have a child, you have to feed the children and take
Yeah.
care of them, healthcare, things of that nature, school, daycare, what
Yeah.
have you. So that is the formula of what you all are dealing with. And that's the reason why
It's a struggle
you're
love.
right. It's a struggle of dealing with finances. Now, the thing is that you can get out of that, but it takes time. It takes a whole lot of time and then effort trying to build your resumes and excel each other's careers so that you all both are not struggling when it comes to money.
Yeah, so
It
it's just that. Yeah.
right. And then also understand what this does to the relationship. It creates a strain, stress
Hmm.
and strain. Men naturally want to make sure that finances are in order. Women are naturally, traditionally, the financiers when it comes to paying bills in the family. So you all may argue about bills being paid and why we don't have enough money and all this other stuff. And then, but don't do that. Understand it is the sign of the times. So you have to be patient when it comes to finances and work together to go ahead and um, build each other's careers and get out of that deficit.
Yeah.
Pay those bills down. It takes time.
Yeah.
You're coming out of college with a whole lot of debt. That's a game that's against you. You know, if you have a master's degree, a doctorate, that's even worse. I advise people now these times not to even go to college. I would say to go get a trade job, get a job, and if you decide to go to college afterwards, use that job to pay for your college courses. Jobs now in these times will pay part of your tuitions. So use that as an advantage as opposed to just going off straight out of high school into college.
Hmm.
That part makes more sense to me than anything else. You see what we're doing here? We're dropping jewels. So
Hmm.
we want you all to listen up. Want to make sure that you listen to that information. If you know somebody out there that needs to hear this type of information, we're talking about the 7 forms of struggle, love, and how to avoid them. Then you please, by all means, share this, like this, and subscribe, and let someone know that we're talking about some good information that young lovers out there need to hear.
Well, all lovers. 'Cause
We
this
all love it.
struggle loving is very toxic in all of its different forms, and it does come in many different forms. So the first one that we were like you were expanding on was the financial struggle love. That's very common, homogamous couples. But one thing I want to point out in particular is it's often seen now more than ever with men being raised by single mothers that the woman. They're more comfortable with the woman leading the relationship. So you can have this guy being a bum and not really wanting to take the initiative of going out, doing what he has to do, even if he does start off, not making as much money, but like that type of struggle love where the guy doesn't want to, step up and actually be a man is another form of that financial struggle love, because the guy's not motivated to lead the family. And that's sad because it happens.
Yeah, it does. I mean, single parent household, men growing up with their mothers, it is that itself is a struggle to try to figure out your identity as a man, as a leader, the head of household, that. And then let alone if your wife makes more money than you, then you're dealing with your ego situation.
Yeah.
So don't let that weaken your situation. Don't let that discourage you.
Yeah.
Go out there, find mentors, talk to people. You can get through those situations, man. You can get through those situations and rise above it and build your careers to help support your wife. And hopefully one day you have you can bring in the same amount of money that she's making and retire your wife. And that will be the apex of
getting out of that
struggle.
Yeah, that financial struggle.
Right.
Yeah.
Work together. Wife, help spruce up his resume. Help put some applications out there so that you all can enjoy the benefits of you living at home or raising the kids at home while your husband is out at work. There's nothing wrong being a housewife. It really isn't. You're saving more money by doing so. You don't have to travel to work. You don't have to drive to work. You can don't have to spend money for childcare. And I understand that some women may not want to work at home. Okay, that part is negotiable with your husband. By all means, you are a support to him to help elevate his careers as well. So those guys who don't want to, who just want to mope around and say that the world is against you, no, that excuse is not going to work here. You have to be responsible for not only yourself but also your wife too. So
especially if you're a homogamous relationship, like where you're trying to marry someone
around your age.
Yeah, I wanted to point that out because that's important. Like, because usually that's where you see that financial struggle. A solution for women is hypergamy. Honestly, young women, if you know your value, you're young, you're ready to be a wife, prepared in that manner, date up. Honestly, that really gets rid of that struggle of, you don't have to worry about that so much. We're so inclined to want to date somebody, our peers, because we're around them and stuff, you want that. But honestly, a good way to get out of having to have some type of financial struggle of is to date a man that's already ready to go, like ready to take you on as his wife. And that's okay.
Yep. Date older men. Date older men. Ladies coming out of high school, college. If you want to get out of free, get out of jail.
Get out of struggle free card.
There you go. Thank you, honey. If you want to get out of struggle free card with life, date an older man, marry that older man. Show him your wife qualities in your feminine nature.
Yeah.
And then he will marry you.
Yeah.
30, I'm talking about 30s and 35.
Yeah.
40s if you need to.
Yeah, it prevents all of that. Truth be told,
we live in different times, and that's one thing that people need to keep up with is the time. Time changes, but humans have a hard time adjusting with the facts of the situation. We lag behind when it comes to relationships and things like that.
And 25-year-old men are not ready to get married like they were back then. What was it, 21 or 2021s in like 1960? Heck no. Like, no house, no car. How you gonna protect and provide for a wife? Like, that's what you have to do. Like, that's like a prerequisite. Like, you need to have these things in order. And that's what you get. That financial struggle love is when you get into it and you ain't got them things check, like in order.
Right.
Don't do that.
Times are different. Men need to step up and be more providers.
Delayed gratification.
Young men. Don't seriously date until you are in your 30s. Work throughout your 20s. From 18 to I would say 32, you need to be working 12-hour shifts a day. Try to build up as much money as you can, get those resumes out there, and then if you want to go to college, by all means. Like I said, you have a job that can support that, support your college tuition.
Yeah. Well, the next one, we talked about that a lot, but the abusive struggle love. That's our number 2 struggle love. That's one that is also very common, self-explanatory. The abusive struggle love. You getting into a relationship where it's verbally or physically abusive and you don't get out. Like you just
You
kind of
stay in
stuck
it.
in that cycle. You see it commonly in well, now more than ever, you can see the women being abusive to the men too. So this applies to both men and women now more than ever, which is sad to say, but that's definitely a big thing, having an abusive struggle love, because you get into this relationship and you love this person, but they're abusive and they may bring up those old triggers. Like usually those are trauma bond type loves where, you're used to seeing a man beating on a woman. Maybe your mother got beaten on or whatever the case may be, and that's acceptable to you. So then you end up repeating that trauma and getting right back into the relationship like that. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, by all means, that's a given. I will go forward and say that if you're being abused, and you have evidence to prove it, go ahead and get a police report and handle it through the justice system. To be honest with you, because no one has the right to put their hands on you.
yeah,
And then that's just showing a sign of maturity.
right,
Sometimes a reality check for the abuser is by far the best thing that can happen in these
yeah,
situations. And it isn't a pleasant situation to be in. And by all means, if if you're being abused, your job is to get out of that situation safely.
yeah, and
So
get help. Yeah,
talk to somebody. Talk to somebody, anybody who's willing to help you and provide you with proper information. If your life is in threatened dealing with somebody, that is no way to live, to be honest with you.
that's not love.
Yeah, no, not at all.
That's not love. So I even up here we call it the struggle love. It's really not love, and that's, I guess, it's more common too in relationships where the guy starts off or the woman starts off really good and you're like in love and things are great, but for some reason bad tempers and stuff can happen. Maybe unresolved uh, behavioral. What do you call it? What's the best way to say unresolved, unhealthy behaviors? Like lashing out, anger, like deep rooted issues
Like
sometimes. Yeah,
traumas.
traumas. Yeah, can cause a person to end up being an abuser or getting themselves into an abusive situation.
Hmm.
By not recognizing those red flags early, like, and that goes for both yourself and for your partner. Like, recognize within yourself where you may have some issues that you need to address before you get into a relationship. Anger issues, jealousy issues, communication issues, all those things need to be addressed before you get into a relationship so that you're not becoming an abuser.
Right. Get some anger management help.
Therapy, at least for
Right.
everybody. Yeah.
You
To
need
prevent
that.
that. Yeah.
You got to make sure that your marriage fit.
Yeah.
Being abusive in a relationship doesn't qualify you for that.
Yeah.
And then also too, like you speak of alpha women, verbal abuse. By all means, men who are in verbal abusive situations. Not saying that men can't be verbally abusive too, but now these days you hear about men being verbally abused by wives and things like that as well.
Yeah.
If you're with somebody who's verbally abusive to you, make sure that they are checked. You let them know that, hey, I don't like that you're being um
speaking this way. Yeah.
I don't like that you're talking to me so aggressively and calling me out of my name. Nobody should be treated that way. Make sure, have a conversation about that with your spouse, whether it's a man or a woman, and then see if things change. Now, I understand that people can't change each other. It takes it takes your own self to want to make a positive change in your life. If this person still proceeds to be abusive verbally, then you may need to think about counseling, or either marriage counseling, or either if that doesn't work, then you need to separate.
Yeah.
By all means. But I mean, I know that the whole theme and narrative of Blueprint Family Jewels is to actually bring families together.
Yeah.
But also too, we're concerned about your health and well-being and your mental well-being as well.
Yeah.
So we're not condoning anything that has to deal with abuse.
Right.
So if you ever find yourself in that situation, make sure that you get some help.
Yep. That is the abusive struggle love. The next one, the uncommitted struggle love. Wow. That is a struggle love that can really hurt, especially if you really love this person and they just have a hard time being committed. What do? You're struggling in that love because you've become over forgiving time and time again, And I think at some point you may lose yourself because you stop getting, I guess the commitment that you need, you know?
Right. In those situations, the spouse may feel defeated. The victim in the relationship may feel defeated,
Yeah.
and they don't want to give up on the family.
Yeah.
There's a set of like, same thing as the abuser. This is abuse as well.
Mhm.
And then the person who's being abused may develop some sort of Stockholm syndrome in which they just can't get away from their spouse, thinking of the family, the children, or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
If this is happening to you and you're with someone who's cheating on you consistently, now, to be honest with you, you have to think about what you're doing as well.
Mhm.
Making sure that you are covering your bases as far as your role in the relationship.
Yeah.
Wives, are you sleeping with your men? Are you all having sex on a regular basis?
Yeah.
If you are not, that may be the reason why your man is cheating on you.
Yeah.
If you are and he's still cheating on you, then you have a bigger problem, and that problem is him.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
have a sit down, have a talk about it, communicate about it.
Yeah, especially if you haven't already and said that it's going to be an open relationship. Now, some people set those boundaries, and they say, "Oh, it's going to be an open relationship," especially if it's a guy that that's what he do. Then maybe the woman is aware. So then, in that case, I guess it's not so much of a uncommitted struggle love because you knew you chose
But
that
what
struggle.
kind of that's not a marriage.
Yeah, that's somebody choosing that type of struggle. And some people do though; they choose that type of struggle, but like.
If you choose that type of struggle love situation, please call in and let us know. Because I have some questions for you about how that work. How's that working? Your self-esteem, your confidence, and also your job performance. Got some questions about that. But yeah, uncommitted relationship issues.
Yeah.
If that is the case and it's being persistent, then you are a side chick or dude. To be honest with you, that's what that means as well.
Right.
If this person told you that we are in an open relationship, then y'all both are side people. Y'all side people. You're in a side person relationship. So that's what that really is. So you can stop struggling and accept the fact that you are in a open relationship. So both of you all are side people. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But if not, by all means, seriously,
communicate,
get some help, get some therapy about it, and then see if the behavior corrects itself.
Yeah.
If not, then you may need to look into women be hypergamous, and then men be hypogamous. Is that right?
Yeah. Hypogamous. Yeah.
Yeah, hypogamous. Be a hypogamist. Yeah. So look down and see if you can find somebody, men, that will better suit you and be your wife. So never settle for someone who's a cheater by all means.
Yeah.
That's going to cause undue stress on your relationship. Mental illnesses occur that way. Dealing with that stress and strain, and especially if you all have children, you don't want your children to be in that type of environment, seeing their parents arguing because of cheating and infidelity.
Yeah.
And keep in mind also, infidelity and cheating is not the number one reason why people get divorced or separate or break up in their relationships. It is because of irreconcilable differences. I know I beat that up more than often, but that is a surprising thing to me, is that people are not communicating in their relationships and talking and discussing and trying to resolve their problems. So just keep that in mind.
Yep, that is true. Because if you had talked about it, established intentions and kind of the expectations of what should be done or is needed to be done to prevent those things happening, then that's where you'll have those issues. So.
Right. And then you'll see this you'll see this in relationships that are fresh, especially out of in high school, those dating relationships where the guy is still not sure who he wants to be with.
Right.
Women, you may think that he's a cheater, but he's not, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's not. That's not a committed.
That's not a committed
Yeah.
relationship. So we're talking about you have to recognize that, women. Now, if you may be competing for this man, so
Yeah.
that's a whole nother different situation. So if you know that you're dealing with this man and he's not the only one that you're dealing with, unfortunately, you are a side chick in that situation. But that comes with the territory on with competing for a man. It just is what it is. That's the nature of the beast as far as trying to find a committed spouse that you will marry for a lifetime.
Yeah. Excuse me, y'all. I have allergies.
Yep, my wife is struggling with her allergy.
You're right. That's my struggle.
The tree pollen. Yep, that's not one of the struggles up here, though, as far as
but that, thank goodness, is my only struggle. Amen. Amen. The next one, the unreciprocated struggle of. Now, this is the one-sided relationship there. You are just not getting back what you put in. And in a way, it's abusive because you're being taken advantage of in some way, you know. But in particular, if you recognize this being, done early, then wow, because you can get out of that, you can prevent that, you can recognize that, oh, this person is not interested in me. Because usually that's what that is. If you're not getting back with the energy that you put in, that person is not interested in returning that to you. And that relationship is not for you.
Right. Yeah. Make sure that you pay attention to those body languages and those type of behaviors as far as a reciprocated relationship goes. Because bless you.
Sorry,
because the thing is this: you don't want you being in a relationship and you feeling lonely in the relationship is by far, that's probably one of the worst feelings you could ever have when you're dealing with somebody and you're just struggling for this person's time and attention. If they're always going out partying, always on the phone with other friends, that's unreciprocated energy that you're receiving. You want to make sure the person that you are with is providing the same energy in the relationship that you are putting out.
Yeah,
I've said that before, that the energy matters in a relationship. You want to feel cared for. You want to feel like you matter in the relationship. You do that by giving out that feeling of love and respect, attention, giving somebody your clear and present eye contact. You want to make sure that the person is doing the same thing for you. You want to have good times with the spouse that you're with. You don't want to compete with them for attention and time. My goodness, that's not a relationship. That's what they call it, a situationship. Or whatever the case may be.
Unreciprocated struggle of.
Right. You don't want to deal with somebody who you have to struggle with and try to fight for their time and attention. My goodness. Now understand this though. If you are in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship and you've already set those boundaries, ladies and men, and the men gave you the boundaries and told you that, hey, we're just friends. It's nothing more.
Right.
And you're still trying to pursue this guy.
Yeah.
And trying to get him to marry you. He already set those intentions and those boundaries. He's not dating you for the intention to marry you. Understand that. So you've been forewarned. So anything that happens after that is, to your discretion.
You choosing that struggle of.
Right.
Yeah. Or even too, another unreciprocated struggle of maybe like the man not providing but yet expecting the woman to do so much, or even the woman not doing anything and expecting the man to do so much too. So pay attention to roles as well too, and establish those ahead of time so that you're not dealing with the unreciprocated love where you're feeling like, oh, I'm doing all this work in this relationship, I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm not getting nothing back,
Right. And then in that situation, you need to talk and have a conversation with your spouse, with your husband, and let them know that, hey, man, I need you to pick up some slack. And I know we talked about hormones too. So if you're having your period, if you're on your period during that week, talk to your husband and let them know that, hey, I need some help. Or talk to your boyfriend and let them know that, hey, I'm not feeling well. Can you please help me? That energy needs to be reciprocated as well. And so, things have changed as far as relationship goes. And we have all this information now as far as men, so we know what's going on with hormones in the relationship. So men do need to pick up the slack and help their wives out in the house. They do, whether it's with the children as well. Daycare and looking after the children and taking care of the children as well. You may have to cook and clean on top of doing the dishes and taking out the trash
Yeah, it
as well.
happens. Yeah. But women too, just being appreciative. When we always talk about reciprocating love, especially if you need your man to help out during times, be really appreciative of that so that he'll recognize like, oh, this is about to be that time. Let me go ahead and help out. And then it really will stop that kind of struggle or fight, especially if you're already in an established committed relationship and it's no leaving that relationship, if you feeling like you're not getting that same energy in return or you need some help, talk about it so you can prevent all of that struggle like ahead of time completely. It really just helps. Communication is really a big one when it comes to a lot of these struggle loves, because if you can establish intentions and roles and things that you need done and how women, if you want your man to provide, let him know that this is what I need from you, especially from this, and I will do ... Like really establish those intentions ahead of time so the man can know what's up and the woman can know what's up too. So
Yeah. By
yep.
far, I mean, I don't like unreciprocated energy dealing
Yeah.
with relationships. I don't think anyone does. It
Mm-mm.
sucks. I mean, you really do feel like you're in a relationship by yourself.
Yeah.
And especially if you all set boundaries and you all are in a committed relationship,
Mm-hmm.
there's something going on there. So
Yeah.
be open, communicate openly about it. Make sure that you all get the point across that, hey, I'm not feeling the same energy in this relationship because you don't look at me while we're talking. You're pretty much
Whatever. Yeah.
ignoring things that I'm saying. I'm asking you
Mm-hmm.
for help, and that goes unheard. And also to realize this, men and women do communicate differently.
Right. Yeah.
So it may be a situation to where you all need to communicate in the way that each other can perceive or digest the information.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind as well. It's not always the case that the man is ignoring you,
Yeah.
or the woman is too, because I just read a article today about
Mhm.
what is it?
Selective
Yeah,
hearing.
selective hearing, male selective hearing.
Mhm.
It's not just men; it's also women too. So we
Yeah.
we hear what we want to hear from each other sometimes,
Mhm.
but it takes that eye contact to get that 100% understanding of what your spouse is saying, and then also
Mhm.
to what the wife, what your wife or the husband is saying.
Right.
So just keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the next struggle love is the unworthy struggle love. Now, this is one that a lot of people may not really recognize, but it's commonly seen in hypergamous situations where the woman comes into a man who we always recommend go date up if you can, because that definitely just helps the relationship overall. But when you get into this relationship, often a woman will feel unworthy
Right.
because she feels like I didn't contribute to this, or like, trying to fit in. So she will constantly do all she can to prove her worth in a way through her husband and what she does for him and how he feels and if he's happy and all this other stuff, completely neglecting herself in the whole process. So that is the unworthy struggle love, which is a hard one. I think mainly with that one too, it can be seen with men who get a woman and can't provide and may feel inferior about it,
Mm-hmm.
especially if she's an alpha woman.
Right. And then if the wife lets him know about it,
Mm-hmm.
and don't even try to help him advance in his career as well. The thing about the unworthy struggle love. Right, like you said about the alpha female situation on a man. The man, like I said earlier, men want to lead and provide for their families. And at certain times women may be the breadwinners, which is
Yeah.
okay. That's perfectly fine. But
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to isolate the man and make him feel worthless
Right.
or unworthy. And the same thing as women who are dating up in hypergamous situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then speaking of which too, it's okay if um ladies, if you are with a man who is struggling to provide. In no way that we're saying that you shouldn't be in a homogamous relationship, marrying your peers, and you both
Yeah.
are struggling financially. But what we're saying is because you can also help him strengthen his careers as well. You all
Yeah.
both can strengthen each other,
Yeah.
in which that will increase each other's self-esteem and confidence in the relationship, giving you
Right.
all that worthiness as
Mhm.
far as achieving goals together and being
Yeah.
together.
Mhm.
You know, it feels good looking back at your accomplishments together,
Mhm.
saying that, honey, we did this. We
Yeah.
did this together.
Mhm.
You know, that's the ultimate prize of being in a homogamous
Homogamous, yeah.
relationship, growing from the young 20 some
Yeah.
year old man and woman all the way up until, you know, they retire, you know, to say
Yeah,
that, hey,
life,
we did
yeah.
this,
Yeah.
you know. So but sometimes, like my wife said, hypergamy for women is the way to go in order to get the advantage in
Not struggling. Yeah.
yeah, not struggling. And then also to, you know, being hypergamous, you're dating an older man who already has everything laid out for you, and all you just
Mhm.
have to do is provide him with your wifely duties.
Yeah.
And then the thing is that
You build your self-esteem like that.
right, you can build your self-esteem by taking care of your husband.
Well, in
And
particular, first by learning how to do
right,
that.
right,
Learn even before, because that would help you feel so much better when you're
and
getting
give you
into,
confidence.
yeah, and getting into a situation like that, because that's ultimately what that man is looking for. He wants you to be his wife. Really, when you're a younger woman and you're ready to be a wife, and an older man is looking for a wife, he's looking for those distinct qualities. He's not looking for you to provide or anything like that, but he's looking for you to offer what a wife offers. So being prepared with that, shameless plug, wifeconomics.com sets women up completely. Sets women up completely for that. So really making sure to not only work on yourself, healing your own issues and knowing your own worth. And then when you get into a relationship like that, knowing how to take care of that man will increase your worth 10 times, your worthiness 10 times more, because you're not worried
Well, and your
about
worth,
losing it. Yeah.
and your
And your
worth
worth.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because women's value goes up.
From the man. Yeah. As it
Well,
should.
not only from the man, but also too, women's value go up as well when the more wife skills they learn, because they're able to keep a man with their wife skills. It's
Yeah.
not money that men are looking for, that
Mhm.
real men are looking for, that, you know, high value men don't value, you know, women who are making money. No, I'm
Yeah.
not saying we don't value you, but we're not looking for
Right.
women who already have, you know, money of their own, because they
Right.
can provide, you know. But being in a homogamous young relationship, you both are looking for money,
Right.
trying to provide for each
Right.
other, and trying to advance going up.
Right.
So don't feel like you're unworthy
Right. No, because a
in any
woman should
relationship.
have that. There's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to be taken care of. For one, you can rest. For one, you feel safe, protected. You can rest in your femininity, and you feel better equipped to handle life as a woman being a wife, because that is a huge duty alone. Like taking care of a man, especially if you bring kids into the equation and all that stuff too, like your
Right.
confidence and stuff, like that's a big role to fill. So
Right. So you're very
yeah.
worthy, especially, you
Mhm.
know, women who are at home raising a housewife. Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Well, they said the average salary of a housewife
Mhm.
today in America is like somewhere around like $200,000
Right.
or something like that, $250,000 a
Mhm.
year.
Because it's 24 hours.
Because you're the you know, you're the daycare, you're the cook, you're the
Maid.
maid, you
Yeah.
know, gardener, if you're
Yeah.
doing that type of stuff outdoors,
Mhm.
you know, cutting the grass and help doing that
Mhm.
stuff as well. If you all have a lot
Mhm.
of grass to cut or whatever the case may be, you
Mhm.
get the groceries,
The nurse, the
the nurse,
doctor,
doctor, all that, the
yeah.
teacher, you
No
teaching your
days
children,
off. Yeah, like it's just as much hard work as it is somebody going in and working a 9 to 5.
right?
So like don't ever feel like whatever you're doing as a wife is like not equal to your high value man and what he puts in. Because guarantee he sees your value, right up there with his.
Right.
Right up there with his. So yeah. Definitely work on self-esteem. That's the number one way to fix that feeling of the unworthy struggle of. Definitely work on self-esteem, get therapy, build yourself up, talk to yourself in the mirror if you need to, let yourself know.
Well, I mean, also too, I ain't mean to cut you off, but
Yeah.
also too, be able to voice that to your spouse as well.
Yeah.
You know, why you're feeling unworthy, because I'm pretty sure your husband or your wife, you know, shouldn't mean to make you feel that way. Or
Right.
if you feeling this on yourself, on your own, they may not even know it.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to them about that, because they may be more so inclined to help you understand what your value is and that
Mm-hmm.
you're doing a great job, you know.
Yeah.
And then if it's
Mm.
even that worth, you know, if it's worse than that, then by all means seek some therapy, some professional help,
Yeah.
and get some help.
Yeah, and it's common with like beta women who are often they in, into kind of self insecure in a way, self-conscious, that's the word I was looking for. Like when you're that and you're not really confident in that, so a lot of times you are underappreciated because you don't actively seek out making sure you're affirmed for all the work that you've done and that it's good, and that's okay. Make sure to do that, get that appreciation if you feel like you're not getting that.
Right.
Speak up.
I need to clip this real
Oh,
quick. There we go. It was working
still good.
though. It's
Oh, okay,
fine.
cool.
Yeah. I just wanted to make
Thank
sure
you.
it didn't fall out. You're welcome, honey.
So the next one is the jeopardizing struggle love. Now that one, that's when you are willing to put it all on the line for some love, baby. Like you will jeopardize it all for everything that you've worked hard for somebody that you want to love, and they are doing risky behaviors. They're involved in like things that they shouldn't be involved in that will put you at harm if you are involved in it. That's that jeopardizing struggle love, and it is not one you want to get into.
All them ride or die chicks out there, that's
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah, they
That's what we're
sold that
talking
dream,
about.
right? They can package something up and make it look real nice, right? Like
I
that
mean,
Bonnie and Clyde, they'll sell
right,
the heck out of something. Like,
right.
nah.
Those drug smugglers
Yeah,
and
nah.
drug
Nah.
runners and all that illegal behavior and bank robbers and all that stuff. You don't want
Nah.
to be in those situations. Young girls,
Yeah.
young women.
Dating them scammers.
Right. Dating those drug dealers, gangsters, robbers, all that stuff, running the streets, doing all of this stuff. Let me tell you, y- you're only heading down a road of misfortune, heartbreak,
And self-sabotage.
disaster.
That's all I can think of. When you think of the jeopardizing struggle love, you just think of self-sabotage. That's all I think of is self-sabotage, because you're deliberately jeopardizing yourself for love.
Right. Your morals and principles, if you have any. It doesn't make any sense. If you know the person that you're dealing with, you know what they say, girls like bad guys, bad boys, or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. Now think about this. You want to deal with a guy who's doing illegal activities.
Yeah.
More than likely, a lot of people who are doing illegal activities are not going to, they end up in jail. Bottom line, it's hard for these people. And then when they get out of jail, they're still struggling too financially because it's hard for them to get a job.
Right.
Now I understand they got work programs while they're in jail, and they may have a what do you call it, a non-aggressive crime or whatever the case may be, and they may be able to get out of jail early. But understand is that you already created another challenge for yourself in this struggle, love situation, because now you're in a situation where you are struggling for finances on top of dealing with somebody who's a habitual offender or somebody who made a bad decision, dealing with drugs or what have you.
Right. You put yourself in another struggle love.
Right.
You go from jeopardizing struggle love to financial struggle love, because if your man get locked up, then you got to bail him out, and then y'all got to struggle financially to get y'all shit together. Like, what? No, don't do that. Stop self-sabotaging and getting into those relationships that are going to jeopardize you and everything that you want. Women, if y'all want a man that's high value, bringing in good money, let him do something that you would, if you were a man, you would want to do and you would want your life to turn out like. Because if you're dating somebody that you wouldn't want, I like to think of that. If you're dating somebody that you wouldn't want to be, if you was that other sex, red flag.
Right.
Stop that.
Why do women like bad boys, bad guys? That alpha male mentality, I understand. That's very confident. He's exuding confidence and all this other stuff, or whatever the case may be. I get that. And then also, viewers, if you want to chime in, by all means, please hit the chat, hit us in the chat. You can join the conversation as well. If you have any questions, by all means, you can ask them. But so I never understood that. Why why good girls like bad guys, or whatever the case may be. Ultimately, what that is creating bad girls because of bad decision making.
Yeah, and you taking that energy. You really do taking that energy, like especially during sex. Like
Right.
you are literally trading the same energies with that guy that you're with. So if he is a scammer, you become a scammer right along with him. If he is like all of that stuff, like you just become that too.
You're making a lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
And then think about that lifestyle choice. Is that something you really want to be doing into your adulthood, let alone if you all have children together?
Yeah.
You're risking that all of that you have, dealing with people that are doing illegal activities in life.
Yeah, for love.
Right.
That really love? Because isn't love supposed to better you? Love is supposed to better you. It's supposed to make you grow, make you a better person, not stunt you and hurt you and cause you to struggle and go through all these other things. That
Right.
is not love. That is toxic and
Right.
stop that.
Yeah, because that's that's self-induced.
Yeah, definitely. It's a choice when you choose to date somebody like that. Yeah.
Right. And then, like my wife said, like, young women who are there who's, sleeping with multiple guys,
Yeah.
understand that these guys are imprinting on you.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be you want to be more familiar with these people, with these guys and what they do and who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So don't think that because just because you sleeping with that person doesn't mean that their lifestyles may not rub off on you.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness, yes, it will.
Yeah,
it will.
That's so true. They always say, "Look at the people closest to you, because that's who you become."
Right.
So, yeah, look at the man who you get going in you, because that's
well, no facts.
That's like great.
I mean, that's something that they don't talk about. Be careful about who you sleep with.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think that those energies and vibrations just go away overnight.
You take them in, and certainly if you have a kid by him, like, whew.
Yeah, the exchange of DNA
and cells,
right,
like, is literally in you. Like,
right.
That can be hard to get away from. And then you got a whole nother type of soul tie trauma bond going on. Like, it's all like, yeah. Don't get yourself in those struggle loves like that. Don't do that. The last one, the project struggle love. Now, this is one for men and women, but it's most commonly talked about for women, because when you talk about a project struggle love, you're talking about the build a man up. All the women want to talk about, I don't want to build no man up. I don't want him to be a project. I understand that is a struggle love, because you certainly cannot change a man. So if you try to go in there and try to make somebody be something they're not, you going to be in a rude awakening for a big struggle, because that, it's not going to play out.
I mean, and likely, and likewise for women as well. I always say that, baggage. Don't come into a new relationship with baggage. It is up to you to fix yourself first instead of someone trying to fix you, because no one ever takes it kindly when someone tries to tell them what to do or force them to change. It never happens. They never receive it in a likeful manner.
Yeah.
So it's really up to you to make that change that you need to make for yourself in a positive way.
Yeah.
In order to better your relationship with who you're with. And then also too, men need to fix themselves, and be inspired by your spouse. Let your wife be your inspiration for you
to be a better man.
Exactly.
That's what that means. We're not saying, oh, you gotta pep talk him every time he get out the house. Like, go, baby, you got it. You don't have to do that. That's not what we mean by let your woman like inspire you and help you to be a better man. No, of course, like that's not it at all. But be that inspiration to where he wants to go out in that street and get that money for you, because he got a sweet little tenderoni at home.
Right. And then a good man doesn't have a defense for a woman like that, who's very supportive, who's always looking out after his best interests, who's giving him compliments and then being supportive. It's same likewise, for men. Be supportive of your wife or your spouse. Be encouraging towards them. Tell them they're beautiful. You know?
I think of a project love for men as well when they think about a woman where she's not ready to be a wife. That's also a project struggle love, because women, you need to know how to take care of men and how to be a wife before you try to be a wife. Like, don't
Right.
don't say, oh, I need my man to tell me what he needs me to do. No, baby. That's not gonna fly. And it's certainly not with no high value man, because he ain't got no time to be trying to tell you what to do
Right.
like that.
Women, you need to come into the relationship with wife skills already.
Yeah.
And if you have not done so, wifeconomics.com can
Right.
lay that all out for you with great tools and equipment as far as building your skill set as far as
Full
being a wife.
implementation program.
Right.
Yep. Full program where you're actually actively every single day applying different things that will help you to be a wife, actively doing exercises, actively learning the things, communication, self-help. We going through all of this and pointing out how you can prevent all these types of struggle loves, like how you can not get into the financial struggle love by choosing a man who is ready to provide for you,
Right.
not have to worry about a project man, because you know how to offer what a man who's ready to go wants.
Right. So, ladies, if you play your cards right, to be honest with you, you can skip all of these struggles.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Especially at a younger age. I'm talking about the ladies from 18 to 25.
Mm-hmm.
You all have an advantage over older women who are in their 30s and 40s trying to find a husband who can basically front all the bills
right
for you.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to first understand what it takes to be a wife, and then also to put those tools into action into your wifely duties.
Yeah, don't be a project case either, because I guess that ain't talked about often too. But when I'm sorry, but one more thing about the homogamous relationship. You know how you had mentioned how with the financial struggle that you'll have to learn to do finances together. Even with the homogamous relationship, you have to learn how to be a husband and you have to learn how to be a wife together too.
Right.
So you're going to get into that too. So again, we're not saying that you have to date older or whatever, but if you're choosing to date your peers, just know you're going to have to be around and support them learning how to be a husband and support them learning how to be a wife, and take on that project struggle love, because you're young and you're growing together, and that's just what happens. But
right, if you're in a homogamous relationship, you got to own it. You got to own it.
Yeah,
that's the only way that y'all going to make it, because it's going to be stressful now. These times it's going to be stressful is all get out, because you all are trying to pay so much in this economy with all this inflation with so little. I'm not trying to put you in a small money mindset, but just coming out of college, you're only in an entry-level position.
Right.
So just being realistic about that.
Yeah. Men, honestly, I honestly believe that men should work themselves up so that they're in a better position to not put themselves into any of these struggles as well.
Right.
Because it's different. I think women, we mature early in the sense of we're ready for marriage a lot earlier than a man is, because we don't have to bring so much to the table like a man does. Like a man has to fully be ready to take you on and provide for you for the rest of your life and all the kids and everything else. That's what a man has to do. So in no way is a man ready at 20-some years old to just be a husband to you. That's just not happening. And if you're looking as a young 20-year-old girl looking for another young 20-year-old man to do these older 30, 40-year-old duties, then you got the game twisted.
Especially if he's from a single parent household.
Yeah, no.
Or even if he had both parents and they didn't talk about relationship.
Yeah, if you're a young girl and you're ready to be a wife, you need to be dating a man who is ready to be a husband, who is fully equipped, and that's not your peer. He is not ready to be a husband.
And it goes beyond just saying it.
Yeah.
His actions apply as well.
Yeah.
Also, too, I wanted to throw this out there too. A man can't tell a woman how to be a wife either. He can tell her what he likes and what he don't like. Yeah. But a man cannot tell a woman how to be a wife or what it takes to be a wife either, because we're not wives. Men are not wives.
Right.
So we can, from example, we can tell you, but it really is there's a difference when a woman learns on her own what it takes to be a wife, and she learning from a healthy example, or either she's teaching herself or someone else is mentoring her.
Yeah.
That's totally different. But a man cannot, women, don't let a man come out here and tell you all what a wife is, or how to be a wife rather. It doesn't work that way. He can't. He doesn't have that place to tell you all.
No, certainly not.
Now we can tell you the characteristics of what a wife is. But by all means, we can't tell you.
Yeah, you need a wife. A wife, hello, that's why I created wifeconomics.com. And to me, it was very effortlessly, because one, we had our daughter at that time, and I wanted to pass along that knowledge, especially after losing my mom 1 month after our daughter was born. So I really was like laser focused into what was the most important role in my life so far, and that was being a wife, like,
Right.
and how to do that, and actually what I do on a day-to-day basis as a full-time wife and a full-time mom, and the things that I do, the mindset that I have, the disciplines that I have in order, the behaviors that I do, all of that plays a huge part in my daily life on a daily. So to be able to teach that to somebody is a big thing. For a woman to learn those behaviors from a woman that's actively healthy in a healthy relationship. Don't try to learn to be a wife by somebody that's scorned by men either.
Right.
Because
No.
she is not at all gonna tell you how to keep that man. She
Right,
is
exactly.
not at all.
And then like my wife was saying in relation to my daughter being born, I was going to fall into that trap and say, you know, she's going to be raised independent and she don't need a man for nothing and all this other stuff, that.
Yeah.
Until I realized that I was setting her up to be alone. I was setting my daughter up to be alone, for her to be in her elder years without a husband.
Yeah.
That's a very dangerous and sad thing that men need to stop doing, and telling their daughters that they can have it all and do it all on their own, because realistically, in this day and age, they cannot. And
Not right
we
off
talked
rip.
about, why they can't do it, because there's a thing called retirement. I know I talk about retirement a lot, but that's a real thing. It's harder trying to retire in your elder years as a woman without a man. It's a dangerous thing. And then also too, don't let your children be your retirement plan. I say that all the time too.
Right, because that's not healthy either. Yep.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so this was a great show. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for coming out, and we really appreciate you and your time. Like, share, and subscribe. Please share our videos with your friends and co-workers and families, and we really appreciate you all. You all have a good night now. Peace.
Peace.